Hey folks, quill18 here, and welcome to the first of a series of tutorial videos for Sid Meier's Civilization VII to help you get started in the game. To make sure you don't miss a single one of these, do make sure you are subscribed to this, the official 2K channel for Civilization VII. As well, if you want to see me play a bunch of Civ 7, you can head over to my channel, youtube.com/quill18, and I can guarantee you there's going to be a lot of Civ 7 content over there. We're going to start off this video with the basics of how you get started in Civ, and that is going to be starting with how to pick your leader. Now, of course, the single most important thing when picking a leader in Civilization is that you pick someone you think looks cool. Honestly, they're all great, they're all fantastic. Every single one of them can do everything. We probably want a little bit more context for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at a few of these leaders and try to give my thoughts about what they might excel at. It's also important to note that the various attributes of a leader might change over the course of the game. Some attributes might be really influential early on and then fall off later, and some might go the other way around, not be a big deal early, but have a substantial impact on the late game. Do you like having huge cities that generate tons of science? Well, why not play as Confucius? He has two easy to understand but incredibly powerful abilities. The first one, honestly, is possibly one of the strongest single abilities of any leader in the game. Plus 25% growth rate to cities is amazing. This is something that will be incredibly powerful throughout the entire Civ 7 campaign from era, including right at the start of the game where you're desperately trying to grow your capital quickly so you can get your first settler out, for example, to in the late game where you're pushing your cities past size 20 and beyond. This continues to pay off huge dividends. The second trait doesn't come into play immediately at the start of the game because you won't have specialists immediately. But when you do, this will generate a crazy amount of science. In particular, your cities, as they grow bigger and become more urbanized, more and more of your population will be specialists rather than rural workers. And those specialists will generate unbelievable amounts of science from this ability. I think it's wonderful. The only hesitation I have about playing as Confucius is that an AI Confucius, he's a bro. He is so friendly in a game of Civ 7 that I will miss having him as an AI neighbor if I am playing him. The built-in game guide, the Civilopedia, suggests that you aim for a ratio of cities to towns of about 1-to-1. What I love about Augustus is he really lets you break that rule, especially in the early game. Let's take a look at why that situation is. First of all, +2 production in the capital for every town. This is wonderful, and I say specifically in the early game because it's quite hard. It'll take you a while to upgrade your towns to cities early on. And for a lot of the leaders, they're not really feeling the benefits of those towns until they either reach population 7 and can specialize, or you decide to upgrade them into cities. With Augustus, you get a benefit from this immediately. From the very second they are settled, your capital is going to get extra production every time you settle a town. You'll quickly get your second, maybe third, maybe you'll push to 4 towns very early. And that is a lot of static production in the early game, where +2 hammers is a huge deal. Now, what are the downsides to a town? Well, first of all, towns don't have building queues. You have to purchase buildings there. And secondly, towns can't build every building. They only have a subset of buildings. Well, Augustus fixes 2 of those problems as well. First of all, you get extra gold towards purchasing buildings in towns. That's amazing. And you can purchase culture buildings, which other leaders cannot do. This really makes towns substantially more valuable and powerful in Augustus, and I really like the town mechanic in Civ 7, so I think Augustus really lets you explore that. Next up, we have one of my personal favorites, Hatshepsut. She's only got 2 abilities, and the first one is fine, +1 culture for every imported resource. That's very nice. Be diplomatic with your neighbors, import some resources, get some free culture, nothing wrong with that. But this second ability, to me, is the most enticing. Of course, navigable rivers are one of the new features of Civilization 7, and Hatshepsut makes amazing use of it, where if your cities are adjacent to a navigable river, they get a +15% production towards constructing buildings and wonders. That is a huge amount. Absolutely rocking. Be careful, don't make the mistake I did the first time I played her. It's not if you're building a building adjacent to a river. No, it doesn't matter where you're building the building or where you're building the wonder, as long as your city itself is next to a navigable river. So your towns, you don't really care so much where they get set up. You don't worry about a navigable river there. But cities, if you can get them next to a navigable river, holy cow, that is a tremendous bonus. Of course, Hatshepsut has the historical choice of playing as Egypt, which gets an additional +1 production on navigable rivers. So if you're playing Hatshepsut as Egypt, you get the 1-2 punch in the ancient era of an amazing amount of production from navigable rivers, and it lets you play with one of the new features in Civ 7. What's not to love? Going further down the alphabet, we've got Trung Track. Now, she's got 3 abilities, and the first one is the one that, to me, is the real showpiece. But let's start from the bottom and work way up. Number 3, we've got 10% increase in science in cities in tropical. This is doubled while in a formal war you declare. Obviously, this is going to impact where you might want to settle your cities. Again, you don't have to worry about the towns, but if you found a good tropical spot, that might be a candidate for something you'd turn into a city later on. And it's doubled in a formal war you declare. One of the funny things you could decide to do with Trung Track, if you've got a good science city in a tropical place, declare a formal war and kind of don't let it end, and just milk this increased science. Now, whether or not that's going to work out in every situation, sometimes you will want to end the war because you just want to get it wrapped up and so on and so forth, but you've got this extra incentive to stretch a war out that other leaders won't have. Your commanders also get 20% more experience. We'll talk about commanders in a second here. And the big one, in my opinion, is gain 3 free levels on your first army commander. Army commanders are a new unit in Civilization VII. If you've played previous civs, they will be reminiscent of things like a great general. They are the units that gain experience points in Civ 7 rather than your regular military units, and as they level up, they unlock new and extremely powerful abilities. And in particular, if you can finish one of their ability trees, you will get a special super bonus that is unbelievably powerful. Starting with 3 free levels immediately makes your army commander and makes your entire army substantially more powerful than just about everyone else you're going to meet in the Antiquities era. And you're going to want to really try to get some extra experience on those leaders because you really want to unlock the full commendations that they can get, and the 20% commander experience will help with that. Trung probably wants to go to wars early and wants to go to wars often, especially if you can declare a formal war over here. I think is stupendous. Next, I want to talk about Ashoka over here, and this is going to be a controversial discussion. 2K said, don't include this in the video. Ashoka is too complex for new players. No, I reject that. I think Ashoka is brilliantly straightforward in the direction he gives you as a new player. Now, he does come in 2 different variants, and both of them have something similar, but I'm specifically going to look at World Renouncer, which I like a lot. Here's the deal with him. First, +1 food in cities for every 5 excess happiness. Okay, happiness equals more food. That's good. Next up, we get 10% food in settlements during a celebration. What's a celebration? As you generate excess happiness, a celebration meter fills up. When it fills up, you trigger a celebration, which has an additional bonus depending on what your government is, and unlocks extra civic slots, which is wonderful for social policies, I mean. This is great. More happiness, more food. More happiness, celebration, more food. Hey, all your buildings get +1 happiness adjacency for all improvements. That's amazing. More happiness is coming in. Oh, it goes better than that. One of the recommended civilizations to start off as Ashoka over here is Maria, which, in addition to getting an extra pantheon, which is great in itself, just really wonderful, let's look at their unique stuff down here. We have a unique building, with +3 happiness on it. We have another unique building with +3 happiness on it. Oh, put both your unique buildings in the same district and have it become your unique quarter, plus 10% more happiness. Hey, that's great. Oh, it goes beyond that. You get a unique settler that when you settle a town, you get more happiness. You naturally are going to run a high happiness empire that just gives you tremendous amounts of secondary benefits, which is going to be lovely. I love the fact that it gives you a clear direction. Make your people happy. They will make more food. Your cities will grow bigger. You will have more stuff. Everyone's pleased the entire way through. And that brings us to the end of this quickie little tutorial video. If you are new to the Civilization franchise, wow, thank you for joining such a long-lived and epic franchise. Civ 7 is shaping up to be fantastic, and if you are looking forward to more of these guides, do make sure to stay tuned and subscribe to this channel. I have been quill18. We'll be back soon with some more of these. Thanks for watching. See you soon.